Hey everybody, you're listening to Classic Kiss here, presented by The Sound Check. As always, I got my two co-hosts with me, Tyler.
What's up, everybody?
And Beau.
How's it going, everyone?
We're happy to be back. Not necessarily happy that we have to cover this album after being away for so long.
Yeah, to put it lightly.
Yeah, exactly. So today we're going to be covering Unmasked, which was released on May 20th of 1980. Me and Beau were talking before the podcast started, and he must have had a typo in his notes or something, because we were like, oh, it came out on May 28th. And then I forgot to edit my notes. It actually did come out on May 20th. At least that's what Wikipedia says. And that's what everything else says.
Yeah, Spotify also says May 20th.
Okay, so if it's on Spotify, that's official. So that's my fuck up. Also, but no, I'm just kidding.
Hey, it's on me too. It's on me too. I messed up.
Hey, it's all good. It's all good. All right, so this is the 8th studio album, which, like I said, was released on May 20th of 1980. A lot of interesting stuff about this album, which I'm sure we will get into, especially with you, Ty.
Yeah.
And because Ty usually brings up the extensive notes and history behind what was going on at this time. So yeah, I don't know if I want to get into that just yet. Let me run through some things real quick.
Absolutely.
So first, I do want to touch on the fact that this is the first album to not feature Peter Criss at all on the audio side of things. We will get into the artwork later, and there's actually a music video for Shandy that Peter appeared in. But other than that, yes, this album does not feature Peter Criss on drums at all, and we are in full-blown destruct mode at this point, because the band is really starting to fall apart. Ace is still here, but he's really starting to kind of fall off the edge too a little bit. So this is unfortunately where it really does, like the past 5 or 6 albums, yes, but 5 or 6 episodes excluding the Tokyo episode, we've been talking a lot about how this is Kiss starting to go off the rails, and they're fully off the fucking rails at this point. Everything to come after this is a train wreck in terms of what's going on behind the scenes with the band. We had a little bit of that on Dynasty too, actually, now that I think about it, because the only song Peter was on was Dirty Livin', right?
Yeah.
So.
And I honestly believe that this is the worst that the train flying off the tracks at full speed really gets. It's still bad after this, but it's not, I don't think it's as bad, if that makes sense.
No, that I can agree. You're saying that Unmasked wasn't as bad, or Dynasty wasn't as bad?
No, what comes after Unmasked, in terms of their relationship, the events that are happening. Obviously there's still a lot of bad going on, Ace's relationship, of course. We'll get to that as we keep moving forward with Gene and Paul. Really wasn't good for a long time. But a lot of the stuff with Peter, specifically in this album, in my opinion, is worse almost.
Okay.
Just because I really feel like Ace wasn't coming from a place of negativity. It was more so like, I have to get out of this situation.
Yeah. And I think that with Ace, it was mostly creative decisions that kind of led to his falling out with the band. Now, don't get me wrong, his drug use and his alcohol problem was definitely a factor of it.
Oh, of course.
But really, I mean, when you think about it, like around this time, we really do start to get into an area where Kiss's music is taking a weird turn, especially with Dynasty, Dynasty
definitely took them in a weird direction. This album continues it a lot farther down that same road.
Exactly.
And then, of course, the next record, which again comes into what you're talking about with Ace's creative decisions being a factor in him wanting to leave the band.
Yeah.
He wanted to make a metal record.
Exactly.
And they turned around and made the music from The Elder.
Yeah.
Which, of course, we'll get to that later.
Right.
But I mean, it's something even entirely different from what this album is. They're just all over the place at this point.
Exactly. So, Beau, I feel bad because I haven't really brought you into the conversation yet. What are your, first kind of thoughts? I mean, obviously, I haven't really gotten into Ty's first thoughts. We've just been covering some history and whatnot. But what are your first thoughts on this album?
Face.
Yeah.
It's more along the lines of, this is the first album to not have the original lineup at all.
Yeah.
And you will never see that again.
Right. I mean, well, like, yes, like Dynasty, obviously Peter was on Dirty Livin', but this is the first album where you don't have like the entire lineup where, like you said, it's like everybody's contributing to like pretty much every song. Now, obviously, even in previous albums and their first albums, there were songs that, you know, Gene wrote or Paul wrote. You know, a lot of those songs only had one songwriter or something. But you could tell that when they recorded these, you know, songs, that they were all on the songs on the recordings. Whereas this, it's very fragmented. You know, just going through the notes of, you know, Paul does all the guitar work and bass work on a couple of songs, and like Gene's nowhere to be found on Shandy for bass. And Ace only doing like guitar solo stuff on one or two songs outside of the songs that he wrote, you know. Right.
And then he did the bass on all the songs he wrote for this record also.
Exactly. So it is very fragmented. So yeah, that's just some of the just kind of like very interesting information that we have to bring up with this album before we really dive into it. Because it's a Kiss album, yes, but it really does not sound like a Kiss album.
No.
And when you look at it, it's not really a Kiss album. One of the interesting notes that I had here was all tracks outside of Talk to Me and Two Sides of the Coin were written or co-written by someone outside of the band. Sorry. And now they had, you know, a lot of these people that they wrote these songs with had made previous appearances in, you know, previous albums.
Right.
But, you know, we're going to talk a little bit about Vincent or Vinny Poncia. You know, he's back on this album again, which, you know, we kind of not covered, but we talked about earlier about how, you know, it has that Dynasty vibe, but it's like a what did you say earlier? It's a cleaned up version. It's wow. This sounds like a very like cleaned up version of Dynasty.
Right. And, you know, because Dynasty still retains some edge, especially with Ace's songs in particular on that record. They still have that hard rock driving feel to them. Even some of the other songs, like, I mean, of course, it's very disco, but you get a little bit of rock there. And I Was Made for Loving You. Gene really didn't contribute a whole lot to that record, which is probably a good thing. You know, but
especially after that solo album.
But you know, you get some of that edge still, some of those balls on that record, and I'm using that term specifically because of something Paul says.
Yeah. And sorry, not to cut you off.
No,
I mean, I definitely cut you off. But like songs like 2000 Man, a lot of the Ace songs on I think there's only like 2 or 3, right?
On this record?
On Dynasty.
3. But 2 of them were written, one's a cover.
Yeah. And I mean, but like even 2000 Man, like the distortion on the guitars is really prominent. Same with Hard Times. Like that sounds like it could have been on one of their earlier albums. Like it still has that, you know, that polish to it. And there's nothing wrong with polish. But this album, it sounds so stripped down in terms of what Kiss was putting out. And it just, to me, for some reason, it's arguably their most cohesive album in terms of production style. Every single song sounds very cohesive with the next song, but that's not necessarily a good thing. It can be a good thing.
Right.
It's kind of like how I like to talk about, you know, directors. When someone, you know, directs a movie, you know, they have a vision for it. And just because I don't agree with that vision does not make it a bad movie objectively. You know what I'm saying? Now, I could argue all day that this is a bad album objectively. However, my thing is I just don't like how polished it is and how one-dimensional this album really is, in my opinion, with the terms, or not with terms, with the themes of the production and stuff like that.
Yeah, it is super one-dimensional. I wouldn't be mad about the production because, I mean, you are correct. It's very polished. It's very, not necessarily nuanced is the word I'm looking for, but I mean, it's very crisp.
Yes.
But the songwriting wastes that production.
Exactly.
And
absolutely.
It's really unfortunate, especially like, I think it's a weird choice that they brought Vinny back for this to produce this record because they only brought him in for Dynasty to appease Peter.
Exactly.
And Peter's not here. So I don't know why, like it feels weird.
Right. It's definitely an interesting choice that they decided to go with, I don't know how to say this. It's definitely a head scratcher. This album is in terms of, you know, why did they bring back Vinny Poncia, especially after, people didn't mind Dynasty. Maybe we covered it in the last episode.
We did
I
a little
can't
bit.
remember exactly because it's been so long.
Exactly, yeah. And I mean, the fan reception to Dynasty was overall positive, but for the most part, it was kind of a case of oversaturation because at that point you come off of Love Gun, Alive 2,
right?
Kiss Meets the Phantom, and then they turn around and do 4 solo records and then put Dynasty out a year later.
Yeah.
It's just so much in the market within 2 years that everyone kind of went, I don't care.
Yeah. And I feel like a lot of the fan reaction to Dynasty was going to be positive no matter what, because they were excited to have everybody back. Granted, they didn't know that Peter wasn't necessarily on the album at all other than Dirty Livin'. But like when you get the band back together, people are going to be excited. And now, yeah, that can usually turn out to be, bad in the sense of, a lot of people have high expectations and stuff like that. But I felt maybe, and obviously I wasn't alive at this time, but just looking at it, in retrospect, I really do feel like people were just like, fuck yeah, we got Kiss back. They're not doing the solo albums anymore, and there was nothing against the solo albums. I'm sure just as fans, they were excited for them to all be coming back together. But this album, speaking of fan reaction and critic reaction and stuff like that, it was not good. Fan reaction was kind of meh on it, and critics tore this up. They said, kind of we said, it is definitely one dimensional, and that's not to take away, how clean and crisp it sounds. But, when, like you said, you brought up the songwriting aspect of it, and the production, when you put it together, it just sounds one dimensional. And I respect Vinny, for, he's a good producer. And, we actually were talking before going on another tangent. Sorry. We were talking beforehand how Vinny actually became one of Ringo Starr's better friends and close songwriting partners after the Beatles broke up. And we had no fucking idea. I don't know if we mentioned that on a previous podcast or not. Or
if we did, episode. I entirely unlearned it, and that was not intentional.
Right. And so we're not trying to throw shade at Vinny at all on this. He's a great producer in his own right, but it's just just because I don't, like what he brought to the table on some of the stuff on Dynasty and some of the stuff on pretty much all of the stuff on this doesn't mean that he's a bad producer. So,
right.
Yeah. I really don't know what else to say about Vinny other than obviously he produced this. And then, it goes without being said that, Paul and Gene are producing this as well, just because they're more hands-on with the album or with Kiss in general. But yeah, I mean, I don't really have much else. We kind of touched on the criticism from the music critics and contemporary listeners and stuff like that, as well as the fans. Gene had some very interesting words to say about this, and he is quoted as saying such. "It's a shitty album," Gene Simmons remarked of Unmasked in 1993. This is my favorite quote from him. "I'd be ashamed to play it for my mother or anybody else." Just the way, I'd be ashamed to play it for my mother. That's so funny to me. So yeah, even Gene doesn't like this. I know Paul's been on record to say that he can't stand this album. It's one of his least favorites because it has no balls. And to be quite honest, he's not wrong.
Right.
Anything else you want to go into? Sorry. I mean, obviously we're just kind of doing some general info on the more technical aspects of it, but any rumors, stories that you have maybe typed up?
Are you ready for some of the history stuff?
Yeah,
okay.
Some history just of what was going on in the band.
Yeah.
And stuff. I know you always have the juicy ass details because you fucking read through those books like a motherfucker. So
I used to. I haven't had time lately.
Right.
If any of this seems a little stilted, it's because these notes are a year old.
Yes.
And I haven't read them since I wrote them. So if I laugh at anything, it's because I forgot about it and now in the future think it's funny. Basically, I mean, what's the name of that book? Unmasked? Behind the Mask? Something
Behind
like
the
that?
Mask, yeah, I think so.
Thank God
I think
it's
that's
not
the one
Unmasked.
that I have.
Fuck that.
Yeah, right.
But they ask all of them about their opinions on all the records. And Gene and Paul both gave it 1 star. And Paul, of course, said it feels like it got its balls cut off. It's just not good. This is very famously Gene's least favorite Kiss record.
Yes.
Ace actually, and this is the weird one, Ace gave it 3.5 stars.
Out of 5?
Yep.
Okay.
He believes the album suffered mostly from the band needing to be apart. And so when they were writing songs, there was no one to check each other. But that was also a benefit because it allowed them to kind of be away from each other still and kind of keep healing wounds a little.
That makes sense, yeah.
And he's actually very, very complimentary of Gene, specifically his bass playing.
Okay.
Yeah, he very much is praising Gene as a bass player, but he also says, I really appreciate the fact that he let me do all the bass playing on my songs. A, it allowed us to stay apart longer, but B, he knew I could do it.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think that's a very mature take for Ace to have on the situation. Of course, at this point, Peter is out of the band pretty much. He's been fired. They did give him a chance to audition to get his part back, which he started taking drum lessons after he was given.
I'm sorry. We all just kind of fucking.
Oh man, hold up.
I just the like how like it's the way we laughed was like, why we weren't surprised. It was just like how like casual it was. Yeah, the drummer of Kiss started taking drum lessons.
Right. Yeah, the multi-million record selling band, their drummer just learned how to play his fucking drums.
Great.
Right.
7 years of playing and probably at least 10 before that.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh yeah, now I need drum lessons, guys.
Yeah,
no, real. And so that's the thing that I hate, and because we've always mentioned before, we weren't there, we don't know. So any stories we have are all secondhand, of course. So we don't know the real truth behind them. And as you said earlier, Garrett, that unless they all four corroborate something, it's either not true or we'll never know the truth behind it. Unfortunately, though, Peter is a fan of kind of talking out his ass a little bit. So Peter,
just a little bit.
Peter will then, in his book especially, which his book's real bad about him playing the martyr.
Go figure.
Paul's is too, but in a different way. And I know we've touched on that one before.
They have severely damaged egos. That's for sure.
Yeah. Basically, so Peter claims that he wasn't fired, he quit, which is not true.
Classic.
That 100% is not true.
Probably because of those drum lessons.
No, the drum lessons came after the leaving. But he claims that it was because he didn't want to play with them anymore, which isn't true. Maybe he didn't, but that's not the reason he wasn't in the band anymore.
Right.
He also claims that playing the same old songs and the makeup were the main reasons. And then when they brought in Anton for Dynasty and this again, that was the straw that broke the camel's back.
Interesting.
I don't believe that because everyone else and their fucking brother says he was fired. So one dude versus 30.
Yeah.
I'm kind of going to take the 30 on that one.
Yeah. He's trying to protect his ego on that. That's
exactly.
For sure.
Which in the process of this record, Peter actually married his second wife, Deborah. I think her last name was Jensen. We mentioned her before.
Yeah, I think we mentioned her in Peter's album.
We mentioned her in Peter's album, a little bit in, I want to say, Phantoms, because she came on set with him.
Oh,
a couple times.
yes. Yeah.
But she was a Playboy model.
Yes. Yeah. Now I that rings a bell.
Yeah. During this whole process, they got married, and Gene, Ace, and Paul all attended the wedding, which, I mean, that's nice. You know, that's a good thing. They're healing a little bit until Peter takes drum lessons.
Jesus.
So he claims that the drum lessons were his idea while he was getting clean. Right. I don't remember my source, so I hate that I'm going to quote it, but everyone else pretty much says it was Bill Aucoin. So it was Bill Aucoin. Okay. And so Peter walked into his audition with sheet music and a music stand. And he sat there and proceeded to fumble around with the drums, trying to figure out where he's at.
Oh no,
dude.
poor Peter, dude.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. And so he, I guess he went on to sabotage his rehearsal in some way. I don't necessarily know what it was. But he basically, in his book, says, I was a jackass for doing that because I think in retrospect, what happened was they didn't want me to leave. They wanted me to fix my problems.
Yeah.
And they were trying to give me a chance, and I fucking turned around and threw it in their faces. And that's not okay. If he genuinely feels that way, good for him for being able to admit it. Exactly. You know what I mean? I don't know the man. Unfortunately, I'll probably never meet him.
Yeah.
But regardless, the fact that he's able to say it at all is something worth praise.
Yeah.
Obviously, during this time, Anton Fig plays all the drums on the record.
Yes.
I want to say he said he got the whole tracks done in like 2 weeks, something similar to that. He said that they were writing and rearranging the songs when he came into the studio to start learning them to obviously record them, which is probably a bad sign.
Yeah.
That they're still arranging all of the songs.
Right.
You know, it's one thing if it's one or two here and there.
Yeah.
That's not a good sign.
Yeah.
Basically said he came in and it took him less time to learn and basically play the record than they had originally allotted for him, which whether it's simplistic songwriting or he's just that good, which let's be honest, he's a very good drummer.
Yeah.
Could be a bad thing, could be a good thing.
Right.
With this record, I think it's a bad thing.
Yeah.
But
I think it's a combination of both, because I've heard the drum tracks for most of this. It's pretty simple.
Right.
Yeah. But I will say, touching on that, not to, go on another tangent because we're in the history of this, which I'll go ahead and touch on it anyways, because it's part of the history. I don't know if we've already mentioned, and sorry if you have, because I kind of spaced out there for a second.
That's okay.
Anton Fig is obviously the drummer on here. He's not credited on any of the stuff on the actual album because Peter is credited on the album.
In the liner notes.
In the liner notes, yes. Thank you. I couldn't think of the word for it. But he doesn't play. It's just well documented and everybody knows, and Peter even knows, like, will say, yeah, I didn't play on those. So yeah, with like Anton Fig on here, I will say, even though the drum patterns and stuff like that aren't necessarily tough, they're pretty simple. There's certain aspects of Anton Fig's playing and Peter's playing that are just so noticeably different that I feel like without Peter on this album, really Peter not being on this album adds to the fact that this is very one-dimensional. And this is not anything against Anton Fig. I think what it is that it's more so, Vinny and Paul, and obviously Gene wasn't necessarily super involved with this album and he didn't really like it as much, but they probably just wanted Anton Fig to just kind of keep it simple, and especially on the songs that are not with Ace, because I will say, when we get to Torpedo Girl, there's definitely some interesting drum stuff going on.
That whole song's interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting, to say the least. But and we'll get to that when we get to it to actually talk about it a little bit more. But like you said, the drumming on here is very simple. It's nothing that Peter couldn't handle. But I will say, listening to this, I can tell it's not Peter on the drums.
Right.
You can just tell by and it kind of goes back to the fact of Gene talking at the Hall of Fame ceremony when they got inducted back in 2014, right?
Yeah.
Where he said nobody can swing the sticks like Peter or whatever. What wasn't it, something like that along those lines?
Yeah.
And that's true. Like, you really can tell when Peter is playing on a song, and you can tell when he is and when he's not. And that was kind of the same with Dynasty. I feel like we did bring that up in Dynasty, how you can kind of tell that Peter's not on this album as much.
Right.
And to me, that, because I do feel like we kind of rag on Peter and we kind of rib on him a little bit too much compared to the other people. We rib on everybody in this fucking band, except for Ace. we still rib on Ace, but we do treat him a little bit better sometimes, and that's personally because he's my favorite. So obviously, I'm going to be a little bit more biased towards him.
Right, and I mean, you and I both being guitar players, of course, we're going to kind of give him a little more of a slide.
Exactly, but I will say, like Peter, man, like that's how you know he's a good drummer and that he has an identity. Is that you can tell when he's on a song, and I will always respect that, and I will always give him props. No matter if, I like the music or I don't like the music, you can tell when he's on there, and that should be good enough, in my opinion, to be like, hey, this guy has his own sound, So I just kind of wanted to say that with like, in terms of like, Peter's, ongoings behind the camera and stuff like that, or behind the microphone, I guess you could say, and stuff like that. Sorry, continue. I didn't mean to go on that huge tangent. I just did want to bring up the fact that, because I don't know if I mentioned that at the top of the episode when I was talking about how, Peter wasn't on this album. It's Anton Fig. And to be quite honest, the performance is good, but the drum parts really aren't anything to write home about,
Right.
It just feels like they didn't want to give him too much.
Yeah.
Which is completely crazy to me because he's an amazing drummer, actually.
Oh, absolutely. We heard the shit that he did on Ace's album and stuff that he's done outside of Ace and Kiss. He's an absolutely phenomenal drummer. But once again, I think, like we mentioned, the songwriting and the production style that Vinny was going for probably just didn't leave a lot of room for Anton to really experiment, So, sorry, go ahead, Ty.
No, that's okay. I do think it's weird, though, that Anton was offered the job, like permanent job as the drummer. He turned it down because he was in a band called Spider that was up and coming. They'd just gotten like a major record deal.
Wow.
And so obviously
that is major respect to him.
Yeah.
I mean, because I'm not gonna lie, dude. Like, you get not handed, you obviously earned it, but you get handed a position in one of the biggest bands in the entire world. Now, granted, they are on their come down, and I'm sure he saw that too, but you get handed a position in one of the most lucrative and most popular bands in the world, and you turn it down because you're going to ride with your day ones. I respect that.
Well, and I mean, even just look at some of the guitar players that came in and auditioned to replace Ace that got turned down. That, I mean, Eddie Van Halen was one of them, and I mean, wow. He didn't necessarily audition, but he already had an inroad with the band. They had a previous relationship.
Exactly.
And he pretty much said, I will come and fill this for you. Let me do this. Right. And they told him, no, you don't need to worry about us. You're doing your own thing. Keep doing that.
Yeah.
And then
that would have been interesting to see any Eddie Van Halen inside of Kiss.
Yeah. You want to hear an interesting one? Richie Sambora.
No shit. Really?
They turned him down outright, but he did audition.
Interesting. And Richie, he was the
Bon Jovi.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
This is actually the first record where Kiss did not do a U.S. tour.
Yes. Yeah.
They did Europe and Australia extensively because Shandy was a big hit in Australia.
Yes.
But they did not do the United States, which should tell you kind of where their stock is at the moment.
Right.
And that's not a good sign.
Yeah. And I do kind of want to piggyback off that statement. Peter didn't tour with them on this tour, did he? I think it was Eric Carr came in for this, right?
And that was the next point I was getting to. They, during the auditions that they held for drummers, they found a stove repairman from Brooklyn named Paul Caravello.
Nice.
And of course, we can't have three Pauls.
Yeah.
So change his name up a little bit.
That's awesome.
As a gift to him when he joined the band, this should tell you how fucking successful they were at this point. As a gift for him when he joined the band, they bought him a Porsche.
Wow.
Yeah. I think it's a Porsche 924, something like that. I'm not big on cars. I don't know models.
So I wonder if around this time, it definitely had to have been around this time, but Car Jam 81. So we're coming up on it. That's awesome.
But the thing that I think is super cool, they actually have that Porsche.
Really?
In the, what hotel is that? The Rio, I think, is where they have the Kiss mini golf course in Vegas.
Oh, yeah. I remember you telling me you went and did that, right? Yeah.
And they have that car there.
That is so awesome.
When he was given the car, though, he looked at him and he goes, hey, can I paint it camouflage? You just got a Porsche
awesome.
for free and you want to paint it camouflage?
Wow.
Which apparently they also, when he was trying to pick out a new name, they had to be like, don't fucking do this, dude. Because I guess one of the names he came up with was Rusty Blades.
He sounds like he sounds like an over energetic kid.
He's like,
that wants to be in the band so bad. He's like, yo, what about this? What about that?
He's like 4 years ahead of his time though, because that sounds like it would fit in like Winger. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for real.
Not necessarily specifically to call out Winger. It just, I mean, they're an 80s hair band. That's why I picked them.
Is Winger, are they the ones that
17?
She's only said, yeah. Jesus.
Oh, anyways. Which comes back to this record in a minute. Hang on.
Boy.
Ooh.
Yeah, let's
Garrett knows
let's
that
go
one.
through this. Let's go through this. Oh, are you talking about Bill? Oh,
yep.
Okay, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's rough. Beau, you're gonna fucking shit your pants when you hear this.
It's so bad, dude.
All right, bet.
So August 31st, 1980, they're in Italy. They were met with chants of, and this is according to Paul in his book, so take it with a grain of salt or a box of salt. They were met with chants of "Kiss Fascista," as all except Gene refused to make statements about their political views, so the people took them as a symbol of American capitalism.
Ah, well, I mean, they're definitely a symbol of American capitalism. That is for sure.
I have such a hard time believing that happened, but I mean, who's to say? Again, wasn't there. I don't know.
That's interesting.
One night in France at a nightclub, a guy started hitting on Eric, which made him wildly uncomfortable. So he looked over to Ace for rescue. And he goes, "That guy over there is coming on to me." And Ace said, "Let's make out so he thinks we're together and he'll leave you alone." The guy left him alone.
That's great.
Yeah. My understanding is they did also make out.
Yeah.
But,
that's fucking great.
Yeah. And this is the real bad one. So, of course, we know at this point, because I think we covered it in the Dynasty episode. If not, I am now. Sean and Bill split up.
Yes.
Of course, Bill Aucoin and Sean Delaney were lovers. And, they were both integral in the history of this band.
Absolutely. Without them, there's no Kiss.
Right.
Absolutely no Kiss.
Unfortunately, at this point, Sean is not there at all anymore. Not just with Bill, but because of their split, he's not there in any capacity.
Yep.
So while they were in, I believe Paul said it was in Australia. Again, this comes from Paul, so take it with a grain of salt, but this is a really bad story.
It's a large accusation, we'll say that.
Yeah, and
you don't
unfortunately,
just come up with these accusations when they're like, this is a pretty like, if this wasn't true, this is an extremely off the wall fucking thing to say. So that's what makes me feel like it probably is. Yeah. And unfortunately, Bill, of course, is no longer with us to be able to either defend himself or clarify anything about the situation. Right.
But Paul basically says there were a couple different times where he walked into Bill's hotel room and found him with children.
Oh, fuck that.
When I was telling you beforehand that I had already told Garrett this and you weren't going to like the story, this is what I meant. Yeah, apparently Paul basically says like none of the ones I ever saw him with looked like they could have been over the age of 12. So, I mean, that's a really hard story to bear through. And like, I really hope it's not true. Yeah. I'm not going to sit here and hold my breath. Yeah. Obviously, the one guy that could ever tell us his side of the story is gone.
Exactly.
So, I don't know. I wasn't there. I hope it's not true.
Yes.
I'm not going to hold my breath and think it's not.
Exactly. Man, is there anything else that you have that you want to go through real quick? Or
that's the majority. The only other thing I had left was just because I thought it was so funny. I figured you guys would get a kick out of it also. But basically, Paul
try and end this segment on a high note.
Yeah. Paul was basically describing prepping to go back into the studio for this record at the time when they assumed that Peter was going to be there with them. Basically describing the experience as you're trying to drive a car with 3 half full tires and one of them's obviously flat.
That's a good analogy. That's great.
Yeah. Because I mean, regardless of substance abuse or any other problems they're all hitting skids at this point, whether it's mentally, emotionally.
It's got to be burnout. Like, that's what I've always said. It's burnout. Well, they all have big egos.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Casablanca rode them hard.
Yeah. I mean,
they were their cash cow.
Their 8th studio album in 7 years. Or sorry, 6 to 7 years.
6 years.
6 years.
Yeah. So their 8th studio album in 6 years. Okay.
Not including the solo albums.
Not including the solo albums.
Not including any new recording they did for Double Platinum, which there were a couple.
Yep.
Because they redid Strutter.
Not including the live albums, because it's well documented that they had to go back into the studio and do overdubs on that. And this is also while touring 100 days a year.
Bare minimum.
For 6 years straight. It comes down to...
And doing a movie.
Yeah, and doing a movie. Like, they stretched themselves so incredibly thin through these 6 years. And that's what I've always said, is that Kiss may not be the best band. They may not be the most popular band. But they are arguably one of the hardest working bands in the entire history of rock and roll music. And
I mean, hey, if that's what you got to do to make it and you made it, good on you.
Exactly. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I still do not know a band that has worked harder than Kiss.
I couldn't name one.
It's absolutely insane what they have gone through in their first 6 years of, being a band, releasing all these albums, and in the future. I mean, they're still kicking it today. They're still fucking touring today. Granted, 2 of them are, it's not the full original lineup, but it is unreal to think about how hard they work. And they definitely deserve their flowers in that sense.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, guys, that's pretty much all we have for the general info. Oh, actually, I will say this real quick. I always like to give a shout out to the technical side of things for recording albums. Engineers on this album included Jay Messina, which we've heard him plenty of times over the past several episodes. We know he worked on Destroyer and Rock and Roll Over, I believe. So he's on here doing engineering, or as the lead engineer and mixing. Gray Russell as the assistant engineer, and George Marino as the mastering engineer. So those are all the behind the scenes guys that I always like to shout out, because they deserve a lot of credit. They don't get nearly as much credit as they should. So shout out to those guys. And yeah, I think that's all we got for this segment. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back with the album artwork breakdown. Alrighty, everybody, and welcome back to Classic Kiss here on the Soundcheck. We got our next segment coming up here. It is called the album artwork breakdown, where we just kind of talk about the artwork and who made it, what our thoughts are on it, and then we give it a nice little rating out of 10. And yeah, so I do want to start out with saying that this is one of the most, especially for this time period, unique album artworks that I've come to see over my lifetime. But like, just looking at it in retrospect, I think it's really creative and original. The obviously, this artwork that we're talking about is the comic book kind of like, strips and conglomeration of all these different, comic book strips and stuff like that. The funny part about Unmasked is that they didn't actually unmask themselves. And I love that they played on that I don't love the fact that they called it Unmasked and they didn't do it, but the fact that they were just like, yeah, we're unmasking ourselves. And on the actual album artwork, it has them pulling off their faces.
And their faces are still under their faces.
It's that classic fucking, we've talked about it on this podcast before, but we're all wrestling fans here. I don't know if you guys know, but when Sting has the mask on, and he pulls off the Sting mask, and he has the Sting makeup underneath it. That's what it reminds me of. It's fucking great. I love this album artwork. I think it is so cool. It absolutely just shits on the album music, in my opinion.
Yeah, no kidding.
It's arguably the best thing about this album, in my opinion. The artwork was actually created by Victor Stabin. I don't know. It's spelled Stabin. That would be a fucking badass name if his last name was Stabin.
Man, first we get Rusty Blades, then we get Victor Stabin.
What you didn't know is that Eric Carr actually made the artwork himself, and that's his pseudonym. So, yeah, what do you guys think about this?
I'm sorry if you were going to speak it. Obviously, I can't see you right now the way I just repositioned myself. I like it, specifically the last panel of the comic where it's them holding the faces and they still have their faces. Yeah. I like it a lot. I hate the name in conjunction with it.
Right.
But I think it's decent. It's very colorful, which is always a benefit because it immediately draws your eye.
Yes.
The thing I don't like about it is it feels a little busy just because some of the panels in the middle, I really can't tell fully what's happening.
Yeah, I do agree that if you took the middle stuff away a little bit, it would obviously make it less busy. And I think it would probably enhance it overall just because I really enjoy, like you said, that bottom strip where it's them holding their faces. I think that's definitely something really cool. Now, yes, the fact that they didn't actually unmask themselves and take off the makeup, we saved that for what? Lick It Up?
Lick It Up is the first album without the makeup.
So it's like it's kind of, interesting choice of an album title, but what do you think?
I think my favorite part of this is in the bottom right corner where that dude is like, I still think they stink.
Yeah,
I like that part.
Shout out to that ribbon on the critics. I like that. I do like that. Granted, the critics had every right to shit on this album, but this is obviously them talking about previous albums.
So. Right. I actually like this album so much. I got a custom mask made. I don't remember who by for when COVID was at its
peak. You like
peak,
the artwork or
the face part?
Yeah. Or sorry. I'm sorry. The way you said that, I thought you said I like this album so much.
No,
I was like, wait, you like the album?
No.
All right, go ahead.
No.
You like the album artwork. Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, wait a minute, what?
Specifically that one panel.
Yes.
But my first face mask I got when COVID was, of course, at its peak and everything. We've lived through it. We're not going to sit here and pretend like it didn't happen, but we're not talking about it.
Exactly.
Was a custom. It was a black mask with that frame on it.
Oh, okay.
But it was,
I remember that.
It's them in their Destroyer costumes.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Yes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. Did they have a mask that had this artwork on it or no?
The official Kiss website does, yes.
Okay,
it's the whole album artwork though, so it's the whole comic strip.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. That is funny. Unmasked on a mask that is them unmasking themselves, but they're not unmasked. So.
Yo, dog.
So, anyways,
yo, dog. I heard you like masks.
Yeah, for real. Man. Anyways, Beau, what do you think about it?
I like.
I know. We were talking about that a little bit, but I want you to finish what you were saying about it.
It just does too much, like you guys said.
Okay, it's a fair criticism. Absolutely.
It just because of course, you get some of the previous ones we've done, like Rock and Roll Over, where there's a lot of detail, but it's not stuff.
Yes.
Of course, with Destroyer, there's a lot of detail. There's the city in the background. There's the rubble. There's them jumping off it and the flames. Right. But it's not stuff.
Yes.
This, because of the nature of a comic strip and what it's trying to imitate on such a small space, feels too full.
All right. Well, I think that's really all we have to say about it. I'm going to start off with you, Beau. What would you give this out of a 10?
7.
All right. And Ty, what about you?
This one's hard because I used to like it a lot more as a kid. I'm going to give it a 6.
A 6? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest, guys. I'm gonna give this a 7 as well with Beau. I really enjoy this. I don't think it's as good as some of the earlier stuff, especially Rock and Roll Over. Because Rock and Roll Over definitely does have a comic book feel to it in a sense, with how it's painted and everything. But yeah, I can agree that it is a little bit cluttered, a little bit busy. But I do like the colors on here. I do like they played on the fact that they actually didn't unmask themselves. Now, granted, everybody's going to have their different opinion on whether they should have actually taken the makeup off at this point or something. But side tangent, because what would, a fucking classic Kiss episode be without a side tangent? I feel like it's interesting because, there was several fans who probably knew what they looked like. They weren't going to hide their faces forever and be successful at it. So I'm sure there was plenty of people who knew what they looked like. But when they eventually do take off the makeup, it's Eric, Vinny,
who wasn't on an album cover before that.
So it's all just kind of like, why the fuck did we do this? Like, why did we need to have this big press conference? Like, the only people, that anyone probably really gave a shit about were, let's be honest, Paul and Gene. You know? I think that's all we got for the album artwork. Shout out to Victor Staben on that. That's very unique, to say the least, on the album artwork. So don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be right back with our track list breakdown.
Now, people, just to make sure y'all with us, people over here, let me hear you. People over here, make some noise.
Welcome back, everybody, to Classic Kiss here on the Sound Check. We are here with our next segment, the track list breakdown, where we go through each individual track, give a few words on it. Some songs we actually we spend a little bit more time on some songs than others. Usually if we don't really like a song, we'll just kind of be like, yeah, it's there, and then we'll head on to the next one.
So wait to see how long this segment takes us, because it won't be very long.
Right. We're gonna start off with track number 1, titled Is That You, written by Gerard McMahon. Nobody on Kiss wrote this song or even had a hand in writing it.
Fun fact, this is a cover.
That's what I was going to say. It sounds like a cover, and it sounds like a song I've heard before, but do you know who actually performed this song before Kiss did?
Fucking Vince McMahon's cousin. Whatever the guy's name is.
Oh, is it him, Gerard McMahon?
I'm almost positive, yeah. Weirdly, this is the third straight Kiss record, not including the solo records because they're technically not Kiss records, to have a cover on it.
Yeah.
Love Gun had, and then She Kissed Me, which bad cover.
Right.
And then they did 2000 Man, good cover. And then they did this one, shit cover.
Yeah. And Kiss is like, and we talked about it on the solo albums. Did Paul have a...
Paul's the only one that did not
have it. Okay. Gene had like 1 or 2, I think.
Gene had When You Wish Upon a Star.
Yeah. Well, that, and then he also had See You in Your Dreams Tonight, which was
technically a Kiss cover, but he wrote the original song too.
So it's a
redux.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. And then Ace obviously had New York Groove,
and Peter had Tossin' and Turnin'.
Yes, yeah. I fucking almost completely forgot about Peter.
I wish I could. That record, not the person.
Yeah. But. So anyways, Is That You by Gerard McMahon. I didn't really research Gerard McMahon much. I just know he was somewhat of a prominent songwriter. Obviously, this song was good enough or big enough for Paul to choose to cover it. So
unfortunately.
And what's interesting, I actually don't hate this song.
I can't stand it.
And I know we were talking about it because the more that I listened to it, I was like, I don't mind it. My biggest problem with this song is that weird like falsetto voice that he goes into.
I know exactly what lyric you're even talking about. Yeah. It's the pre-chorus.
Yeah, it's the pre-chorus. So if you take that out of this song, I don't mind it. But with this song, it is very evident the style that they're going for on this album, especially with the vocal effects and the vocal processing. A lot of reverb, a lot of delay, like really short decay to make it sound like it's kind of, I don't know how to describe it, but yes, just a lot of effects to say the least.
And that's one of my biggest problems with it is it almost feels like the mission statement right out of the gate of what this record is.
Yes.
And it's not a good record. So I mean,
exactly. And the fact that they started off with a cover, if you're going to do a cover, save it for the middle or the latter half of the album. You know what I mean?
And especially for a band that has such a strong history with first songs.
Yes.
Bad fucking pick.
Absolutely. That is true. What was the first song off of Dynasty?
Dynasty is... I don't fucking remember. I Was Made for Loving You? No, that's 3. Sure Know Something.
Sure Know Something? I was
I
gonna
don't think Sure Knows.
No, Sure Know Something is 3. I Was Made for Loving You is 1. I'm almost positive.
Was it?
I'm almost positive.
I don't know. I'm looking it up right now.
All right, so after that 5-minute fucking trek that we just took to figure out what it was, we went on
We made it to Mordor.
Yes. Thankfully Beau pulled it up quick, but we went on a little side tangent of like, what the fuck was the first song on Dynasty? Yes, the first song on Dynasty was I Was Made for Loving You.
I knew I was right eventually.
Yeah, I don't know why anybody still listens to this podcast, because what the fuck? We don't have our ducks in a fucking row.
It's because we're fun.
Exactly. Kiss usually has a really good like track record of coming in and having a solid first song. And, you know, we've talked about I Was Made for Loving You. It's definitely a disco song, but it still is a good, like, it still has elements of Kiss.
Yeah, and it's catchy. It hooks you right out of the gate. This song does not do that.
Yeah, I agree. I actually enjoy the song, but I can absolutely 100% agree. It doesn't really hook you into it, and then it also doesn't, like, the more that I listen to it, the more I enjoy it. But for me, it's like, you want the first song on your album to just, like you said, hook you in and make a statement. And the only statement that this song makes is
this album's going to be trash. That's literally
hey, Beau put it a lot better than I did. So, or that I was going to. I was just going to say that it just, what it screams, the statement screams, this is going to be extremely overproduced and extremely polished. That's what this song screams to me. There's like no guitar solo in this. It's very pop oriented, absolutely 100%. So yeah, that's it on track number 1. Unless Beau, did you have anything you wanted to add into that?
No. You guys pretty much said everything. I'm sitting there like, yep.
Beau had one word: trash.
Yeah, it is trash.
All right, track number 2, Shandy, which is written by Paul Stanley and Vinnie Poncia. It's a solid song. A lot of stuff going on in the high frequency range, which can kind of come off as piercing to me sometimes. I cannot stand when stuff is being mixed and the high end is extremely piercing. It's very fatiguing on my ears.
Especially that first couple notes very early on the guitar in the song is very... I 100% understand what you mean.
There's that, and then there's also, it's just so busy up in that top range. It's a solid like power ballad. That's what I would call it.
Yeah. It unfortunately suffers for me that if you put it on any other Kiss record, probably going to be in debate, at least for my discard.
Yes, exactly.
It's not bad. It's just not that good.
And the fact that it kind of stands out on this album shows you what, you know, this album is not the best.
Right.
So I want to test this.
Absolutely.
If we put it on Love Gun, would it be your discard?
What, in place of what though? That's the thing, is we can't just put it on there and...
Because I want to say when we did Love Gun, my discard was And Then She Kissed Me, but I think we said discluding that song.
Yeah, because we were all going to select it and it was a cover and we were just like, fuck this shit, we're going to...
Right. I don't remember what I said in place of that.
We may have actually just went with And Then She Kissed Me and just got it over with, but I can't remember.
Because
let's say we take it and put it in place of Tomorrow and Tonight.
Yeah. Yeah, it's still my discard.
Yeah. I actually don't mind Tomorrow and Tonight. It just suffers from them trying to recreate Rock and Roll All Night Part 2.
Yeah, it's not bad. Again, that's another song. It's not bad. It's just not good.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
You picked the perfect song to swap it out with, honestly.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's still probably my discard. It helps that Love Gun for me is easily one of their most well-rounded records.
Yes. And Rock and Roll Over.
Yeah.
Like their most cohesive and consistent records.
Yeah. If you put it on Dress to Kill, though, probably not my discard.
Yeah.
It's still probably going to be that fucking piece of shit 2-timer.
Or not 2-timer.
Ladies in Waiting.
Ladies in Waiting, yeah.
Again, like I said in that episode, they run together in my head because they're a weird fucking story the way they put them together.
Yeah.
Fuck them. But no, I get what you mean, though. I don't hate the song. I also don't want it to come off like I'm saying I do. Right. I don't. I like the song.
I just wanted to test it.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I respect it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely I will say this also suffers from what we like to call the unplugged-itis. Well, not unplugged-itis. They didn't do this song on Unplugged. They did this song acoustically on Kiss Symphony. And this song sounds really good in that setting.
Which I think is also the version that we all fell in love with.
Yes.
Because, I mean, we were all super into Symphony when it came out.
Absolutely. I mean, that was about the time when I really started getting into Kiss,
Yeah.
Which I can't wait till we get to that episode because
that's going to be a good episode.
Yeah, it's going to be a great episode.
That's going to be a long episode though, because there's so much in that record.
So much on the record. That one's going to be like an hour and a half to maybe 2 hours.
Probably because we've given it away already. We all love that record. We're going to fucking circle jerk about it, but.
Yeah, I don't really have anything else to say about Shandy other than it sounds a lot better acoustically. And when you put it in, to something like Kiss Symphony, or if they would have done it on MTV Unplugged, that would have been a lot better.
In case we haven't mentioned it before, when we were younger, we used to make our own versions of Kiss songs because we thought we could write music and we couldn't. And so we would take them and subtly tweak the songs. The best example being Heaven's on Fire and Hell's Underwater.
Yeah, God damn it, dude. I think we talked about that a little bit in one previous episode.
I think so. I can't remember.
We'll definitely cover it again when we get to...
We talked about Game Time with Snowblind.
Yes, that's one of them.
I'm just thinking about the Hell's Underwater now. And the really bad lyric we have in that we have to say.
I can't wait till we get to that episode.
Yeah, we'll save it for the next episode. Or not next, but when we get to what's that off of?
That is on Animalized.
Animalized, gotcha. I always get Asylum and Animalized mixed up because they both start with an A and they're like back to back.
They're both not good. Yeah.
And that's boy.
Yeah, they are back to back records though.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting to get to. All right. Anything you want to say about Shandy, Beau?
No, I mean,
gotcha.
Like, again, I'm just kind of sitting here.
Of all people, I would have expected you to bring it up, though. The drum intro on it, even though it's super simple, I really
it is
like
effective.
it.
It sounds so good.
Well, let me just say, the drums on this album in general sound great. They're just really simple.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. But I will say the tone of the drums on this album are fucking phenomenal. And that those tom hits that, the tom fill before the song actually really starts to kick in. Absolutely. The tone of those toms is so good. So good. Shout out to the engineers on that. All right. Track number 3, Talk to Me written by Ace Frehley. And I don't know. Talk to me, guys. Sorry. We always have to have one shitty pun. Talk to me about what you like about this song.
I'd rather not.
Okay, interesting. You don't like the song?
It's okay. Like I said, when we did the first Off the Soundboard record, weird song for them to pick to include on that. Like,
oh yeah, I forgot they did do this on Tokyo 2001.
Mm-hmm. It's okay. For me, it's one of the standouts from the record, but that's, in my opinion, kind of sad.
Yeah, I agree. Most of the stuff that really stands out on this record is Ace's stuff, be it for better or worse.
Which we'll get to. But it just kind of sucks because the stuff he brought in, even though 2000 Man was a cover, the stuff he brought in for Dynasty was so good. And then he brings in these. And I don't want to hate on them, but I'm not the biggest fan of this song. It's good, not great. And then we'll get to the other two when we get to them, obviously. But man.
What about you, Beau?
Kind of with Ty on this one. I love Ace. And I love all the songs he's brought in. He talked about Dynasty. Go back to Love Gun with Shock Me.
Absolutely.
Yep. And then obviously his solo album.
Yep.
This one kind of feels like people were like, we're not doing this.
Kind of micromanage. Yeah. I could see that, Ace writing something and then him bringing it into the studio. And no offense to, Vinny Poncia or anybody, but then they when they actually get the base of the music, they're like, okay, we're going to tweak this. We're going to tweak that. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. I'm not saying that's what happened, but that could be the situation on this, because I will say, the more that I've listened to this album, especially in preparation for this episode, is it's interesting because this song, even though it has a little bit more girth, no, a little bit more has a little bit more hair on the balls. Sorry for the absolutely shitty fucking analogies. But I think this song, you know, it tries to do something different within the confines of this album, but it's still polished. You can tell.
Right. And it also has a problem that all three of his songs on this record have. And we shat on Gene and Peter relentlessly for it. So I'm going to do it where it's deserved. The fucking 1 minute outro of every song being just the title repeated over and over again.
Yep.
I can do without.
Yep. It has that very Beatles-esque, you know, I want to hold your hand type thing where it's just constantly saying that over and over again. I actually don't mind this song, but like you said, them with the outros and just repeating the fucking title for a minute and a half. It's just frustrating. It's lazy, in my opinion. There's not really much of a guitar solo on this that I can think of. And that's fucking sad to me because it's Ace.
Yeah.
When Ace usually writes a song, he throws in a killer guitar solo. And the fact that I can't remember the guitar solo on this kind of upsets me. So come on, Ace.
Yeah.
We're going to go ahead and go to track number 4. Sorry about said 3. We're going to go ahead and go to track number 4, Naked City, written by, there's like 4 people on this, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Gene Simmons, Vinny Poncia, Bob Kulick, and Pepe Castro. Never heard of him before. Or her, maybe?
I want to say you have and you just don't remember.
Okay.
I believe Pepe was on one of the solo albums.
Okay.
I can't remember which one it is because it would have been Paul's because he's linked with Bruce.
Oh, okay.
Bruce.
Gotcha.
Fucking
Bob.
Bald guy. What's his nuts?
Bob. Yeah. Bald ass Bob.
Yeah.
No disrespect.
Yeah, he's linked with Bob. I think Pepe did the bass on Paul's album. I might be wrong though. I'll have to double check that.
Gotcha.
But because they were in a band together.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. So yeah, we got Bob Kulick on here, which is interesting. We've talked about Bob plenty of times over the last 4 or 5 studio albums, pretty much ever since Destroyer, that we've constantly been talking about him. So very cool that he kind of makes an appearance in here. Obviously Gene and Vinny on here as well as Pepe. This song is not bad. I enjoy it. And I think the more that I listen to it, the more I like it. But I will say it's very polished. And another thing that I don't really, it's not that I don't like about it. It reminds me of like The Police.
It's because it's got that stop-starty kind of Rasta feel to it.
Yes,
yeah,
exactly. The rhythm and like the tone of the guitars. It reminds me a lot of like some of the guitar work in Roxanne and stuff like that. But yeah, that's really all I have to say about Naked City. I know, Ty, you had mentioned that you actually really enjoyed this song. I don't know about you, Beau, if you enjoy this song, but you don't like it?
I don't.
Okay, go ahead, Beau. Tell us what you don't like.
To me, it's just a forgettable one.
I think that's a symptom of this album, unfortunately. On this album, it is a standout song for me. Wow. If you put it on, it's another one, except this one is much harsher. If you put it on any other record, it is probably the discard for me. I like it, but I like it in the context of this record.
Okay. Yeah, that's definitely a good way to put it.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on to track number 5, What Makes the World Go Round, written by Paul Stanley and Vinny Poncia. And I don't really
Duran.
Yeah, and Duran.
I'm being an ass.
It's all good. Before we started this episode, Ty, we were talking about certain Kiss songs that either sound like other songs or other songs that sound like Kiss songs, depending on which came first. And he showed me the similarities of this and the Duran song. What is it called?
Girls on Film.
Girls on Film. So go and check that out. Let us know what you think.
Right. And obviously it's not the same, but it has a similar quality to Girls on Film that me being familiar with that song because it's my favorite Duran song. I'm not a big Duran fan, right. But it caught my attention.
Yes.
So,
all right. Anything you want to say about it, Beau? No. He's shaking his head now.
I do want to say, though, this is the song that has a dual guitar solo on it.
Oh, yes. This is the song that has the dual guitar solo. What's interesting is I said I don't have much to say about it until you said that, because now it reminded me that I did want to talk about that. This has a really good guitar solo from Ace. It's more of a standout on this album in terms of guitar solos. One, because there's just not many of his guitar solos on this album. And but overall it's solid. Even if you take it outside of this album, I think it actually has the legs that it could stand on its own. So shout out to Ace for that. Don't really care for Paul's solo that he does at the beginning. It's
simplistic, but he's not a lead player. Yeah, it's not what he specializes in. So
exactly. Just
the fact that he branched out at all, I think, is worth noting. Even if you didn't necessarily find it the most impressive, but right. I still enjoyed it.
Awesome. We're going to go ahead and go to track number 6, Tomorrow, once again written by Paul Stanley and Vinny Poncia. And don't really care for the song, to be honest. I don't really like the chorus because he's talking about falling in love tomorrow or some shit. I don't know. It's just weird. The whole song just comes off as like, meh, I don't know. Fucking it's there.
Yeah.
What about you, Beau?
I actually don't mind it.
Okay.
I kind of put it up against like that Nothing to Lose type having fun with it song.
I think that's valid. This was the song that I was in when I texted you the other day and said that my commute to work has never felt so long.
Yeah. Feels like it's going to take till tomorrow, huh?
Yeah. Good God. I don't even dislike this song that much. This album just for me is such a drag to get through.
Yes, absolutely. 100%.
But
track number 7, Two Sides of the Coin to Choose From, written by Ace Frehley.
Unfortunately.
And what's very interesting is I remember us enjoying this song as kids.
Loved it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like,
for sure.
We would sing it a lot. I have a very weird, almost fever dream, vivid memory of us singing this at my grandma's house, like in the front living room when we were all just hanging out and shit. But anyways, I personally still do not mind it. But the lyrics, and I want you to talk about the lyrics, Ty, because that's like one of the first things you mentioned when you came in this morning.
They're just so goofy. These lyrics feel like Ace wrote a song and then told Gene to go out and sing them in front of a Detroit audience. It feels like a game of broken telephone almost, right. Where it feels like something was written and then the next person down the line parroted it, and then it kept going until it became something overly stupid.
Yeah.
All of those dates. It's not, they're just silly.
Exactly.
But especially you good. I'm trying to think of the lyrics, but as I keep doing it, they're pissing me off. Because I'm trying to give examples of what I mean, and as I keep doing it, I'm getting angry.
Yeah.
Because the line about we all know those women or whatever, you know what I mean? Because it's we meet them here and then we meet them over there or something like that. They're just stupid. They're not good. And for someone who if you look at the background of how much music Kiss has made at this point and his contributions to that lump sum, he technically doesn't have that many, but all of Ace's contributions to this point have been quality works.
Yes.
And then you get this hunk of shit.
I do agree. It's definitely something.
It's just so fucking goofy.
Yeah. What about you, Beau? What do you think?
Actually, I think this song represents basically what Kiss did, is flip a coin and decide the tone of the album based off of that.
There you go. They just flipped the coin and they're like, yeah, we don't know what the fuck to do with this album. Just flip that bitch. This song is, I hate to say it, one of the more frustrating Ace Frehley songs. Track number 8, She's So European, written by Gene Simmons and Vinny Poncia. It's bad. It's just bad. All right. In my opinion, I just don't like it. It drags.
Stupid.
It's stupid. It drags like we were talking about just a couple minutes ago. I don't have anything else to say. If you guys want to,
what does it even mean?
exactly. Hey.
Like, I feel like it's almost a generational gap where we just don't get it.
Yeah.
Because it's a term that's not used anymore.
Right.
But that doesn't help.
Yeah, it did not age well at all. What about you, Beau? Anything to
This
say?
motherfucker.
Yeah, these motherfuckers.
I don't have anything else to say.
I fucking hate this song.
All right. Well, that's the ladies in waiting of this album, because we always have to point that out, because if there's one thing we really enjoy doing on this podcast is beating a dead fucking horse. So.
Oh, I'm going to beat that horse until there's nothing left.
All right. Track number 9, Easy As It Seems, written by Paul Stanley and Vinny Poncia. And real quick, actually, we had mentioned that almost every song on this album was written by or co-written by someone who was not in Kiss. And a lot of these songs are actually just, Gene or Paul with Vinny Poncia. So, I mean, it's not like there was that much outside influence on the album, but still. Yeah, Easy As It Seems. Not a big fan of it either. It's and I don't know. I just very polished, very pop oriented in my opinion. Not a fan. Just not. This song to me represents everything that I just don't like about this album. Anything you guys got to say about it?
Not just this song, this album in general. It feels like Kiss got that radio play and then was like, crank that up to 200.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like in terms of like what they were like writing and stuff. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and we've talked about it in several episodes since, but I mean, Destroyer was their, kind of them knocking on the door of pop, music or contemporary music at the time of like what was kind of more acceptable in the mainstream. After Love Gun and Alive 2, they really decided to just fucking take that and just go with it. And I think a part of it is they finally got to a point where they were okay with spending decent money on a producer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I feel like, I'm not saying that Vinny charged them, hella money for this shit, but they start bringing in Vinny Poncia, and next thing you know, you're going to have all these your albums start having this more pop oriented feel to it. And who knows, maybe the money was part of that.
Could have been. Just wait till we get to the next album for producers.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's interesting.
It's
but I will say, but it's a swing. And that's because with Unmasked, it doesn't feel like they took any chances. That's why I don't respect it either.
Right.
I just don't have any respect for it because, like Paul said, it just doesn't have any balls. There's nothing of note on this album that makes you want to come back to it.
Yep.
Whereas, we're going to get to it next episode. The Elder is something that they were just like, fuck it. Let's try and do something completely fucking different. And I can respect their swing on it.
Yeah.
Did they hit a home run?
We'll talk about that next time. But
yeah, we'll talk about it next time. You're already going to know my opinion on it. No, but at least, like I said, I can respect that they try to do something different. Track number 10, Torpedo Girl, written by Ace Frehley and Vinny Poncia. A lot of writing credits for Poncia on this.
Yeah, I don't think he should be allowed to touch another album.
I respect your opinion on that. I will say, though, I like this song. I really enjoy this song. I'm not going to lie.
The song is good, but like he should not be allowed to touch another Kiss album.
Okay,
yeah, Kiss album, definitely. This song's interesting because it feels like Ace used all his creativity on the riff and then had to phone in the lyrics for all of his songs.
Yeah, the lyrics are definitely iffy, but I think the music behind
the music on this song is so fucking solid.
Awesome. Like just a really great like head bobber, And what about you, Beau? What do you think on this?
I just like the music behind it.
Yep.
Especially those drums with the guitar solo.
Oh, absolutely. Because the drums, I mean, we didn't really touch on, we touched on it earlier in the episode. The drums on this song are unique and cool. And I respect the hell out of that. And especially the intro where it's like him just doing a bunch of different fucking, tom here, hi-hat there, fucking ride cymbal here, crash cymbal there, kick drum snare, you know, all this different shit. And then it kind of comes in with the bass line, and then, you know, you get your guitar riff line that he kind of does throughout the song. My thing with this song that I don't necessarily like is that there's not really a guitar solo in there that, you know, really screams at me and that I enjoy. There's a little bit of guitar work throughout the middle section, but it's nothing of note. It kind of has that like God of Thunder off of Destroyer feel where it's like kind of in the background. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's a good song, solid music. Lyrics are kind of poorly written. So, which we've had that problem in the past with a lot of Kiss songs, but
that's most of this album. So
yeah, I agree. All right, going on to the final track of this album, and track number 11 is going to be called You're All That I Want, written by Gene Simmons and Vinny Poncia. And this is all that I didn't want.
Yeah, I want to throw this record out a window.
Yeah. It's not memorable for me. And we really talked about it on Peter's album. The start and end of your album is so crucial. I feel like if they would have ended it on Torpedo Girl, it would have been fine. But this song is just so unmemorable to me that it's like, why even decide to end on this song? It's not good. It suffers once again from the overproduction, or not overproduction, but the very simplistic production and very clean sound and that polished sound, and not polished in a good way. It's like over polished, you know. I don't have anything else to say about it. What about you, Beau?
All I wanted was the song to be over when it started.
Anything you wanted to add there, Ty?
Fuck no, get us out of this record.
All right, so that's going to wrap it up there for the track list breakdown. We'll be right back with our 3-in-1 segment.
We got a lot of good stuff for you tonight. We want to give you something special.
Welcome back, everybody, to Classic Kiss presented by The Soundcheck. We are here with our 3-in-1 segment now, where we choose our top three, ranked 1, 2, and 3 songs off of the album, and then we choose our one discard song that we just don't think it adds to the album. It might be just our least favorite song. I don't know. Usually we all just kind of just go with our least favorite song. But you can always just pick one that just doesn't fit. In the context of the album. So our 3-in-1 segment, Beau, or actually Ty, I want you to start this off. I'm going to go ahead and have you list your top 3, save your discard.
My top 3, unfortunately, I don't know that I would even put them in a specific order, so I'm just kind of going to ramble them off at you. Torpedo Girl, What Makes the World Go Round, and Talk to Me.
Okay. Very interesting. Very interesting. I figured Naked City would have gotten on.
I was debating also with Naked City and Easy As It Seems.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why something about Easy As It Seems kind of grabs me a little. And in the context of this record, obviously, if you put it on anything else, I wouldn't pay attention to it.
Okay. All right, Beau, what are your top 3?
Torpedo Girl, Shandy, and Tomorrow.
Okay. We all kind of have something else going on here. I like it. All right. My top 3, number 1 coming in is Torpedo Girl. So we all have the same number 1. Very interesting. I didn't think we would all have the same number 1. Track number 2, or not track number 2. My number 2 is going to be Naked City. And number 3 is What Makes the World Go Around. So very nice that we all have at least one song that we all agreed upon. I know me and Ty had 2. And I'm surprised you didn't have Naked City.
I do really like that song. Honestly, if you asked me probably 10 minutes earlier, I probably would have picked it. I don't know why. The more I kept sitting here thinking about it, I just kind of switched.
Yep. All right, Beau, what's your number 1 discard?
You're All That I Want.
Okay. And what about you, Ty?
Dude, I'm fighting this so fucking hard right now. I fucking hate that song, and I also hate She's So European. It's so hard. Fuck it. I'm going You're All That I Want, because I can't stand the chorus of that. I hate them both. I hate them both, but
I'm gonna make a last second switch up. I originally had Easy as It Seems, but I think I'm going to have to go with You're All That I Want. Now that I really think about it, I do agree. Everything about You're All That I Want is it's just piss poor, in my opinion. Yeah. Anything else you wanted to say about those songs?
I only chose it. One, it's the last song on the album.
Mm-hmm.
End on a high note. They didn't do it.
No.
Cut it off.
Exactly. What about you, Ty? Anything else?
Fuck this record.
All right.
I am so happy that we're finally done with this piece of shit record.
That's my cue to go to the next segment. So. All right, guys, we'll be right back with our certified ratings. Don't go anywhere.
We'll be back in a few minutes. Don't go anywhere.
Alrighty, and welcome back to Classic Kiss here, presented by the Soundcheck. We are almost done with this wretched episode, this godforsaken album. We're going to go ahead and give our certified ratings for Unmasked by Kiss, released in 1980. You know, we took this last hour to hour and a half just talking about the various things that we really dislike about this album and some of the few things we kind of enjoy. Not too many, just not too many on here. So without further ado, we're going to go to Ty. Ty, I want you to give me your certified rating out of 10.
Fucking 2.
That was quick. That was very quick.
I almost went lower, but I decided to cut it some slack.
Okay. What about you, Beau?
I am going to go with a 4.
A 4?
A 4.
The fuck?
Okay.
Hold on.
All right.
No,
of course. Elaborate, but the fuck?
You're more than welcome to have
listen,
yeah.
The drum tracks on it are solid, and I don't mind most of the music behind the lyrics.
Okay.
So
your main gripe is the lyrics behind most of this stuff. Okay. Unfortunately, I think I'm going to have to go with Ty on this. I'm going to give this a 2 as well. I can agree with you, Beau, that the music behind some of the songs is pretty solid, but when it comes to the production, it's just too clean, too crisp. It takes everything that I didn't like about Dynasty and amplifies it by 100, in my opinion, and that's why I just can't get behind this. And I think we had pretty favorable reviews to Dynasty, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so.
We all at least gave it above a 5. I know that for sure. And 5 is okay. 5 is solid. But yeah, I don't know, man. Even with that music, it just still, like, some of the lyrics on here, and like we've said time and time again, the production is just, it's too radio friendly, and it's not what Kiss is about, in my opinion. So anything else you want to say, Beau, real quick?
I mean, it also gave us a song that would later show up on Symphony, and yes, obviously we all love that one better, but
right,
we wouldn't have got that without this.
Exactly. Even in one of the worst albums, there's still somewhat of a gem in there, but unfortunately, you know, if this song was acoustic on this album, it would be in my top 3, hands down. I enjoy Shandy, but I only like it as an acoustic song.
I agree with you, and especially the point you brought up about the production of that song specifically on this record is why it was kept out of my top 3.
Yep. So, but like you said, Beau, it does give us Shandy, which eventually really comes to life on Symphony. Is it on Unplugged?
No.
It's not. Okay, gotcha. For some reason, I was thinking it was. Sure Know Something is on Unplugged. That's
no, the main reason they did Shandy on Symphony is because it was done in Australia.
Yes.
And of course, like we said, that was a big song in Australia.
That's awesome. All right. Well, I think that pretty much wraps it up for us, guys. I don't really have much else to say about this album other than I'm glad we finally were able to get together after a year of trying and failing. Maybe we can try and do this a little bit more regularly now instead of being here every Sunday, maybe once a month. That makes it a little bit easier on our schedules. So it's really good having you guys back in the studio to talk about all things Kiss. And whether we like the album or we don't like the album, it's always fun as hell having you guys in here talking about it. And for the listeners out there, really hope that you guys are still enjoying these episodes. I know we hit a stretch of albums that we were kind of iffy on, especially with the solo albums. You know, Dynasty was a little bit better. But, you know, we kind of hit another lull with this one. But yeah, I just thanks for listening. It really is awesome to see that people are still listening to us, and we didn't forget about you guys or anything like that. So I do want to say that we have created a Soundcheck Instagram. I don't have everything up and running for it, but I plan to do a lot more with it. I plan to eventually do some stuff on YouTube with the Soundcheck. But if you want to, give us your thoughts and opinions on some of our episodes, go ahead and follow us on the Soundcheck _ on Instagram. I might make a Twitter page. I might make a Facebook page as well. And just leave comments on our post. Let us know what you think of these episodes. Give us some feedback. Maybe give us some stuff that you would like us to talk about, because that would be really cool. So with that being said, that is Unmasked 1980.
Thank God.
Exactly. I was waiting for Ty just to be like, fuck this shit. We're going home. Any last thoughts? Any last final comments? Doesn't even have to be about the album. It could be for future stuff. Who fucking knows?
No, I mean, me personally, I'm just glad we finally got through this one. I'm glad we're like back able to kind of have some time again together to go through some shit.
Absolutely.
But yeah. I'm looking forward to the next one. I'm much more looking forward to the one after that.
Yes, when we get to Creatures, that's going to be a fun episode.
Yeah.
So
I'm looking forward to most of the 80s.
Okay.
And why?
Because I want to hear everybody's opinion on them.
Oh boy.
So yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be, I don't know if it's going to be fun going back and listening to all these 80s albums, but we'll see.
Some of them probably not, but there are a couple good ones.
Yeah, there's a couple of decent ones.
Because I know a lot of my favorite songs are from the 80s.
Okay.
So.
All right. I respect it. We'll get to that when we get to that.
I have some songs I like from the 80s, but I don't know if I'd say a lot of
them, but there's
9 9 that I really like, and they're all on Creatures. So I don't.
So basically what Ty is saying is he's checking out after Creatures. Fuck this shit.
Not checking out. I'm just afraid for the history on those, because I don't know how much I'm going to have to be able to work through.
Yeah, because I mean, a lot of obviously the material that you're going through is for the original 4 members. So.
Yeah, and I mean, of course, that's kind of like their mystique, their peak. So of course, that's where the bulk of the information is.
Exactly.
I'll still bring what I can. It just doesn't mean I'll have a lot, unfortunately.
Yeah. And we're going to get into the severe decline in popularity for Kiss through the 80s, which is pretty insane to think about. Which ticket sales, crowd numbers, album sales.
Yeah. I mean, we're already starting to see it. They didn't even do an American tour for this.
Yeah. They didn't do an American tour. And this was like the first album in like 4 years that didn't go platinum like soon after. So yeah, we'll get to all that stuff in the next couple of episodes. They're going to be awesome. It's going to be fun going through that. It's going to be a nice little change of pace, because we've been kind of dragging out the original 4 lineup for quite a bit now. And now with Peter completely out of the picture, we're on to some new horizons here in the future. So
whether for better or worse.
Yes. So awesome. Well, thanks guys for coming in and being able to do this podcast. It was fun. Thanks to everybody that still listens to us. Share this with your friends, your family. If you have a Kiss fan in your life and they really enjoy their music as much as you do or we do, this podcast is for them. So, and you too, and us. For Beau, for Tyler, and for myself, thank you guys, and we'll see you next time.